Hi, I'm Michelle the Irritable Vegan, and today I've got two quick and delicious dinners, perfect for getting tea on the table fast during this busy upcoming season. We've got a speedy satay noodle stir fry and a comforting bowl of creamy rice soup with shredded FODMAP safe oyster mushrooms. Both are simple but impressive dishes, perfect for last minute unexpected guests. Each recipe serves two and is ready in less than 20 minutes. I hope you enjoy it. We'll start with the speedy satay noodle stir fry. One of the best tips I can give you for speeding up your cooking is to begin by preparing your mise en place, which is just a fancy way of saying prep, weigh and chop all of your ingredients and have everything to hand before you begin. Not only does this speed things up, it reduces stress and minimises the chances of overcooking things by becoming distracted with your prep during cooking. To a hot wok, add 1 tablespoon of toasted sesame oil, 150 grams of broccoli, 150 grams of red bell pepper, 150 grams of carrot, and stir fry on medium-high for 5 minutes. Add 1 tablespoon of grated fresh ginger and a finely chopped de-seeded chilli. Stir fry for 1 minute. Add 90 grams of frozen edamame beans. This is half a portion of fructans when split between two, to reduce the likelihood of stacking with the broccoli. 75 grams of pak choy and 20 grams of spring onion greens. Again, the pak choy is half a portion to reduce stacking sorbitol with the coconut milk that we'll use in the sauce. Continue to stir fry until the veg is almost cooked, roughly 3 more minutes. Whilst the vegetables cook, mix together 2 tablespoons of peanut butter with 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of maple syrup, 60 grams or a quarter cup of canned coconut milk, and half a teaspoon of Chinese 5-spice powder. Whisk it really well until it comes together into a thick, smooth satay sauce. Then add a generous pinch of black pepper and salt to taste. Test and adjust to your liking. Meanwhile, soak a portion of noodles in boiling water. Refer to the Monash app for current safe servings depending on the type of noodles you use. I use these flat brown rice noodles, which were 300 grams total once cooked. Add the satay sauce to the veggies and stir to coat. I find it easier to use tongs to really toss everything together. My noodles cooked in less than 5 minutes whilst the veggies were frying. Drain off the soaking water and add the cooked noodles to the pan. Stir everything together just long enough to combine the noodles, sauce and veg. Then it's ready to serve. This recipe serves 2 generous portions. Sprinkle over the remaining 10 grams of spring onion greens just before serving. This light but filling stir fry feels healthy but without any hint of deprivation. The satay sauce clings to everything without overpowering the natural flavour and texture of the veggies. This is a great pre- or post-festive blowout meal. I don't know about you, but I often get strong cravings for fresh, light meals packed full of veggies and goodness to balance out all the overindulgence that can happen around this time of year. This meal would be perfect for that, and as long as you bear in mind the potential effects of FODMAP stacking, you can make this work with pretty much any odds and ends of leftover veg you happen to have lurking in the back of the fridge. Because it cooks so quickly, it's a great meal to have on standby for last-minute unexpected guests. The noodles and all the ingredients for the sauce will keep for ages in the back of the cupboard, so all you need to do is throw together your favourite low FODMAP veggies to produce a delicious, impressive meal in minutes. It's a very forgiving recipe that holds up well to swapping out this for that based on your preferences. Switch the noodles for rice, up the heat to suit, or eliminate the chilli entirely. Add in radish and bean sprouts, swap the pak choy for cabbage or kale, green beans for broccoli, making it fit to your taste and tolerances. If you're in the personalised phase and tolerant of sorbitol, or you're serving this to non-FODMAP friends, then I highly recommend making an extra batch of the sauce to serve on the side. I can tell you now, this sticky, speedy satay stir fry is going to become a staple in my house. And once you've tried it, I bet it'll keep showing up on the weeknight menu in your house too. Next up, we've got an impressive but surprisingly simple creamy rice soup with all the tasty toppings. To a deep soup pot, add 1 tablespoon of garlic oil and 150 grams of roughly grated parsnips. Keep the parsnip moving around the pan as it has a tendency to stick. Add in 1 teaspoon of dried thyme, 1 teaspoon of dried sage and a generous grind of salt and pepper. Keep it moving to reduce sticking. Add 50 grams of finely sliced leek greens, then pour over 250 ml or 1 cup of dry white wine and 250 ml or 1 cup of FODMAP safe stock. Bring this to a rolling boil and reduce to a simmer for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, pour everything into a blender, preferably allowing the broth to cool before blending safely into a smooth soup. Once blended, add 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard and 250 ml or 1 cup of almond milk. Blitz again until fully mixed. Return the soup back to the pot, there's really no need to wash it in between. Add 1 tablespoon of nutritional yeast and a heaped 1/4 teaspoon of freshly grated nutmeg. Give everything a good stir and bring it back up to a gentle simmer, do not allow it to boil. Whilst the soup reheats, I cooked 250 grams of microwavable rice. Add this to the pot and stir gently. If you prefer, you can cook dried rice separately according to packet instructions. Let that simmer on low whilst you get on with the mushrooms. I use these king oyster mushrooms from Tesco, which are FODMAP safe at 75 grams, which is roughly 1 whole medium mushroom per portion. I use these for their delicious flavour and unique texture, but you could swap them for finely diced canned mushrooms if you prefer, or if that's all you have available. We'll be shredding the mushrooms, and for this you'll need a sturdy, long-tined fork. My vegan fork is perfect for this in every way. Hold the cap of the mushroom firmly onto the chopping board and pull the tines of the fork down through the stem of the mushroom, following the grain of the fibres. Keep repeating this movement, increasing the pressure slightly until the mushroom begins to shred apart. It happens really easily and naturally with minimal effort. Any large pieces that break off can be easily ripped apart and shredded with your fingers. Continue until you've shredded the whole stem, then reserve the caps for use in another recipe. Or, if you prefer, you can prepare the mushrooms first and add the diced up caps into the soup, being mindful not to exceed the 75 gram safe portion per person. To a non-stick pan or hot skillet, pour in 1 tablespoon of garlic oil and add in the shredded mushrooms. Sprinkle over a generous pinch of FODMAP safe stock powder and black pepper. Keep the mushrooms moving around the pan, and unfortunately my skillet isn't very well seasoned, so the mushrooms stuck before they browned. In a decent pan you should be able to get more colour on them as they cook, hopefully without them sticking. This soup is creamy and comforting, and the addition of the rice makes it a simple but filling and hearty meal. I used a brown basmati wild rice blend, but any rice works in this dish. I would have liked to use all wild rice, but it doesn't seem to be available pre-cooked, and cooking it dried from scratch would have dramatically increased the cooking time of the whole dish. You can do that if you prefer. These mushroom shreds really are transformed once they're fried and add a delicious, savoury, meaty element that's perfect for non-vegans or those that miss that chewy mouthfeel. Both tender and juicy, they really do take the taste and presentation of this dish to the next level. I like to serve my mushroom shreds pride of place, arranged on top of the soup, but they're equally delicious stirred through the soup, where they become softer and the texture is less obvious, which some people may prefer. If you feel like being really fancy, then garnish with a generous sprinkle of chopped fresh parsley and a tablespoon of pumpkin seeds. The oyster mushrooms and leek greens both contain mannitol. We've accounted for that in the recipe by only using half a portion of leek greens, but if you want to reduce it further, you could swap them with spring onion greens instead. If you do this, then just add them later on in the recipe at the reheating stage. I really hope you've enjoyed these recipes. Let me know which is your favourite in the comments below, and don't forget to tag me over on Instagram in all of your recreations. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye! We're getting to that time of year again where family feasts, parties, social events and holidays are rapidly approaching. This year, give your gut the gift it deserves with Got Guts Feast Without FODMAPs. It's your one-stop autumn and winter survival guide for all things vegan low FODMAP. From delicious recipes and menu planning to seasonal stacking and tips and tricks from fellow IBS sufferers. Feast Without FODMAPs really does include everything you might need to see you through the best and the worst of the upcoming season. Take time out from the shopping and stress to invest in yourself and make sure that this year you thrive rather than simply survive. For the same price as a couple of spice lattes, you could be on your way to a flare-up-free festive season. You'll find the link to purchase in the description box below.